Minister, it's well recognised that young children have a much better ability to learn languages, and that as we get older, that ability declines. And you see that around us all the time. And children can learn 2 languages as easily as they can learn 1 if they're exposed to 2 languages. So my question is as to whether there's any thought being given to promoting the use of Irish in all the creches and early school programmes throughout the state, not only the Irish language one, but I mean all of them. You can do it through tapes and so on, so that young children are exposed to the Irish language as well as the English language, and they absorb it naturally, as children will do, because they're like sponges with languages.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Deputy, and I appreciate your asking the question and speaking to me in the language I can understand. I'm very conscious of the value of supporting the provision of services in the Irish language to children at an early age, and of the role of early learning and care services that they can play in promoting Irish as a living language, which is a lot about your comment there. My department has committed then to a range of actions under the 5-year action plan for the Irish language, which is 2018 to 2022. And the aim of these actions is to build on existing measures, supports, and partnerships in the area of Irish medium early years education and further improve supports and services. So those actions include the provision of information and supports on childcare to parents who are raising their children through Irish, the creation of 2 Irish language posts within my department, and the establishment of a baseline of supports for NINERA that will inform future policy plans. My department has also established a dedicated early years national oversight group that monitors the implementation of the early years specific actions contained within the action plan. The many supports that my department offers are available to all early learning and care services, and efforts are being made to ensure improved communication with Irish-speaking childcare services. In respect of the forthcoming National Childcare Scheme, the website and parent application will be available in Irish. Irish-speaking support staff are available to answer parental queries, and communications in relation to the scheme are also available in Irish. Training and materials for the access and inclusion model that helps children with a disability to participate in the ETCHI scheme are available through Irish. My department also remains committed to supporting services wishing to operate the medium of Irish, and will continue to engage with the relevant stakeholders. And in that regard, I want to welcome the report recently launched by the Joint Oireachtas Committee on the Irish language in relation to the challenge associated with running Irish medium childcare centres in the Gaeltacht.
Minister, I've come at this question about 5 different ways, 6 different ways at different times. Make it absolutely explicit that I'm not talking about Irish language medium. That goes without saying. They should be provided as a basic human right to those who require it. The websites should be provided, that's fine, but I don't see too many 2-year-olds reading websites. So the question I have is, right across the whole remit, I have childcare, because remember, all these children are going to go to the primary school, and they're going to have to start learning Irish in the primary school, but they have a much greater ability to learn Irish at 2 and 3 years of age than they actually do at 5 years of age. So every year we lose, not exposing them to a second language. We're losing a unique opportunity that children see no problem with. It's only adults see a problem with. And my question is, in all of the childcare across the country, is there an effort going to be made to encourage the use of the Irish language through songs, through poetry, through little rhymes that children have, etc., etc., through teaching them little sayings that anybody could teach, even if they don't have an elementary knowledge of the language? Are we going to encourage and have a programme in the English language creches and childcare facilities to encourage the use of bilingualism? And remember, a child that learns 2 languages early will learn a 3rd, 4th and 5th language a lot easier in later life.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Deputy. I do take your point, and I think that, as you can appreciate, I did believe that it was important to identify the ways in which we are responding, at least to support the settings, earlier settings that are offered through the medium of Irish, as well as the parents who are speaking and want to see that Irish is utilized in the development of the National Childcare Scheme. I think that's really important. and needs to be done more, obviously, in light of the various action plans that have come out, and most recently in terms of the Joint Oireachtas Committee. So those were my first set of points. But I do accept what you are also arguing for, and I agree, of course, with you in terms of the helpfulness, the importance of, especially early years, the opportunities for children in whatever settings, and not necessarily just through the medium of Irish itself. So what I was looking for is that I think there are a number of recommendations in relation to that recent Joint Oireachtas report that points more towards that my department will work with, with an interdepartmental working group in order to see how to support those recommendations.
Final comment, Deputy Cuív.
Minister, I know this goes beyond where people were thinking up to now, which is all the time about Irish language medium, childcare and preschool. That's absolutely vital, and for those who rear children to Irish, that's a basic fundamental right. There's also those who chose to send to an Irish medium. I'm talking about the wider sector, because we know that 85–90% of parents would say, if you can give my child a free present of contact with the Irish language, with a second language, for free, and the child will grasp this naturally, they have no difficulty with this, right? They get very dexterous in languages, between two languages, when they're exposed to two languages. Why are we not thinking in the big scene? Why are we not thinking outside the box and saying, you know what, we could give the greatest free present ever to our children by just encouraging the use, as I said, of little sayings, little rhymes. They're all there, the backup is there, and having a programme to encourage creches and childcare to expose children to the Irish language as a second language. And as I said, it will help them to learn all sorts of other languages in the future, because children who learn, and the vast majority of children do learn languages, the vast majority, unless there's a very severe disability. They learn two, I guarantee you, as easy as one.
Final comment, Minister.
I totally take your point, Deputy. I get what you're saying, and I think, and I agree with your arguments. I note that, for example, again in the Joint Oireachtas Committee's report, which is more focused on the Irish-speaking, educational and early educational settings, one of the recommendations is that the Department of Education create specific posts so that it can further develop Irish medium provision in the early years sector, both inside and outside the Gaeltacht, and presumably, and underneath that, also in the context, you're arguing to me effectively in every early years setting. Isn't that what you're arguing? That's what you're suggesting, exactly. And so what I will say to you is, in that regard, is that I will bring that back, that clear recommendation to my own department in terms of the early years setting, because there's some suggestions in terms of the ways in which earlier settings in Irish or non-Irish share best practice with each other to support the development of children's learning of the language. Anyhow, generally your recommendation back to my department, who's working in that area, to see what it is that we can do about that, and ultimately get back to you.
Thank you, Minister.